This video we're going to give you a guide to use Magneto inside Marvel Rivals. Magneto's a very solid character to use, especially in the Vanguard category. First, let's get into Magneto's primary ability, and that is the Iron Volley, or his R2 essentially, which deals 75 damage on impact. Now, 35 of this is projectile damage, and then 40 of this is spell field damage. But like I said, on impact, that is 75 damage in total, which is a pretty significant amount, to be honest, especially since it's a kind of ranged attack up to 25 meters. So as you can see here, we're at 10 meters, you're dealing the 70 damage. You go further than 25 meters now, so we're at the 25 meter distance, you're actually hitting the target still, but you go anything past that, you're not actually hitting the target or getting any crosshairs here, so just keep that in mind. So the second ability, which is Magneto's Mag Cannon, can go past the 25 meter distance. It actually kind of goes all the way out, which is really good, so you can use this for sure. Now, the bars on the screen are going to show how much damage you're going to deal with the Mag Cannon. Now, you can kind of spam this attack to some extent, but I'll explain how. So first of all, with the 3 bars, you deal 90 damage, which is great. Then if you only allowed to charge the 2 bars, you deal 65 damage, so you get a little bit less damage with 2 bars. So if you can't wait that long, then obviously you can take the attack straight away. And if you only let it charge to 1 bar, you get 40 damage. Now, sometimes it doesn't really make sense to only use 1 bar, obviously, because you want to deal the maximum damage possible, but in some instances you do need to just get that attack off really quickly, especially when you're mixing it in with your main attack as well. I think it can be very useful, and I'll explain that a little bit more in detail. So the way Magneto works, as you can tell now, is by the rings on his back. Now, another way to get the rings is to use the R1 ability, and when your teammate takes damage against that shield that you protect them with, you do get the rings quicker, but they need to absorb 100 damage before you get 1 ring back on your back. Now, it only lasts 2.5 seconds on your teammate, so, and obviously whilst you're in a game, it does work a little bit better, but I do think it should last a little bit longer just so you can get those rings back a little bit quicker. I just think it's a bit too quick, in my personal opinion. And the last ability Magneto has is a shield ability, which blocks incoming projectiles. Now, this shield ability again doesn't last very long. It only lasts basically 2 seconds. Some cases it only lasts 1 second if you've already just recently used it. So I did want to test a couple of things when it came to the shield and how it blocks incoming abilities. Now, what's pretty obvious with it is that it does block standard projectile damage. So this would be like Winter Soldier's bullets, Star-Lord's bullets, Punisher's bullets, Hela's attacks, Namor's attacks. So any long range standard attack, it will block that. Obviously, you only have it for a very short amount of time, so how much you can block it depends on your skill, I suppose, and how often you're getting your shields back. But like I said, it does block those attacks, and if you do time the shield perfectly well, you can block ultimate abilities as well. So for example, Hela's ultimate ability, you will see on screen, you can block those, but like I said, she's in the air for quite a while, so you could only probably block 1 or 2 of the actual shots that she's going to fire at you. Again, if you time it perfectly, you can block Iron Man's ultimate ability as well, and pretty much any other projectile ultimate that works a similar way. But like I said, you only have it for a very short amount of time, so you need to time it almost perfect. The last thing I want to get into before we get into the gameplay and some additional tips, the Iron Bulwark is disabled on Magneto at the moment. I'm not sure why. This is the one where he puts the shield around himself, and this lasts 2.5 seconds. You get shield health of about 300, and again, it gives you rings back for every 100 damage you take. But again, like I said, we can't even test this right now because it's actually disabled in game. It's disabled in private games as well, unfortunately, so we can't test this at the moment in time. So the last thing Magneto has is his ultimate ability, which you need to make sure you charge to the maximum possible to get the highest amount of damage out of it. Now keep in mind, you are vulnerable whilst you're in the air for that length of time waiting for it to fully charge up, so you can release it quicker, but you want to make sure you're getting the maximum possible damage at the same time, so just make sure you use it at the correct time. So getting into the gameplay now and just some additional tips with Magneto. So the first thing you want to be able to do is make sure you're using the L1 ability correctly. Now, like I said, you can use the L1 ability at a longer range than your main attack. So if you do need to take out targets at a distance, then this is the only way to do it with Magneto. There's no other option. He's only got melee attacks, the main attack, which is only a 25-meter distance, and then your L1. So just make sure you are using that if you need to take out any ranged targets. And try and be as accurate as you can. You don't need to be super accurate with Magneto, because I think his best range is between 20 to 25 meters. So try and stay within that distance. I think that's the best place to be. So you want to stay close to the objective, and majority of your teammates behind you. Obviously you've got a decent amount of health there to take enough damage. He's not going to have super high health like some of the other vanguards in the game. So just try and avoid taking damage as well if you can. And obviously once we get the other ability back, you'll actually have like about 5 seconds worth of shields to play around with to protect yourself as well. But that's disabled at the moment. So like I said, right now you need to be conservative with Magneto until they add that back into the game. Like I said, the other thing that I wish they would allow you to do with Magneto is once you charge up the 3 rings, I wish you could use 1 ring at a time. So if you just press the L1 attack, then you'd use 1 ring. If you held it in, you'd use all 3 and deal the 90 full damage. I think that'd be a really cool addition, so you could be a bit more versatile with Magneto, and you could choose when you want to use the full 90 damage, when you want to kind of mix in your secondary L1 attack with your standard attacks as well. And I think you need to combo those attacks, by the way, because especially when you're fighting against some of the more higher health players, you want to combo in these attacks to get your kills quicker. So make sure you are, even though you got 1 bar worth of your rings, try and use it. It's going to come back anyway, especially if you're protecting your teammates with the R1 shield. You're going to get that back, and obviously once the other ability, like I said, comes back into the game as well, your rings back much quicker, sorry, so that you could use them more consistently. Like I said, the best range for Magneto as well is that 20-meter distance. You don't want to be coming up against any melee characters. The melee characters are going to absolutely destroy you with Magneto. I've come up against loads of Captain Americas, loads of Spider-Mans, and obviously none of his shields block melee damage, so that is not really going to help you. So try and stay away from them as much as possible. Obviously, like I said, the ranged characters, as long as you're not taking ultimate damage, you should be good for the most part, especially with that L2 shield and his other shield abilities once they return to the game. But that is pretty much Magneto. There's not too much to talk about this character. He is a solid choice, to be honest. I do like the amount of damage he outputs. Another tip with Magneto is that he is a very much objective based player, because the way he works is he moves kind of slow, and obviously that kind of goes for most of the vanguards besides Captain America, to be honest, because the rest of them do move relatively slow. But when it comes to Magneto, he is a slow moving character, and obviously he's meant to be within the objective, close to the objective, and protecting teammates. That's kind of the whole point in this character in general. And if you do have a good healer in your team, you can play really well with this character. Definitely make use of him that way, and he is quite a popular character at the moment. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.